warm welcome to Camnet Television Main News. Camnet TV, not just another channel. The headlines. Zambia's annual inflation rate for May increases to 16.6% CSO. Zambia Railways $120 million United States dollars keep trains at Nels Pest local transparency watchdog. Pep shocked on Lazard Freeze appointment. Sampa was right, Mwape. 100 escaped from virus quarantine in Malawi. Premier League to restart on 17th June. With the news in detail, join me shortly after this.
Super cereal.
We always start our day with nutritious super cereal. It's so easy to make. Just add hot water or milk. Fortified with essential vitamins, gives you energy and keeps you alert. Super cereal is so good for you. Comes in 3 yummy flavors: original, banana, and strawberry, and tastes so good.
Easy Super Cereal is made from non-GMO maize and soya and is good for the whole family. Found in all leading stores.
Super cereal.
Quick and easy.
Tastes delicious. Super cereal. Full of goodness.
Makes you stronger.
Super cereal.
Easy Super Cereal. Brought to you by Java Foods.
Thank you so much for joining us with the news in detail. My name is Jessie Kalambo. The Central Statistic Office, CSO, has announced an increase in Zambia's annual inflation rate for May 2020. According to the CSO, the inflation rate increased to 16.6% from 15.7% in April 2020. The increase in the annual rate of inflation was mainly attributed to price increases in both food and non-food items. Food inflation increased to 17.5% from 17.0%. The increase in annual food inflation was mainly attributed to increases in prices of food items such as fish, meats, oils and fats. Non-food inflation increased 15.5% from 14.2%. Zambia's food basket currently stands at about 7,000 kwacha for a family of 5. Meanwhile, according to APSA exchange rates, the kwacha was today trading at 18 kwacha 6 ngwe, buying and selling at 18 kwacha 47 ngwe per United States dollars. The Zambia Railway train is not moving at a higher speed since $120 million United States dollars was invested in the company, according to the Action for Community Alliance, a local transparency watchdog. $120 United States dollars of the first Eurobond was allocated to Zambia Railways to be invested in rolling stock, trains, locomotives, coaches, thereby improving services and, most importantly, the speed at which the trains moved. The Action for Community Alliance, ACA, claims that the train attended 36 kilometers per hour as it highest speed after some of its staff tracked the train speed on board between Lusaka and Livingstone. The ACA claims that the train moved at the lowest speed of 19 kilometers per hour. According to the Transparency Watchdog, its member of the fact-checking unit took a trip on the Zambian Railway Golden Jubilee Michael Chilufya-Sata Express passenger train from Lusaka to Livingstone on Saturday, 25th January 2020 and traveled back on Monday, 27th January 2020. The aim of the trip was to verify the speed at which the train traveled and the state of the carriages and services, both which should have been improved by the United States dollars 120 million share of the first Eurobond allocated to Zambia Railways. With the granting of the 120 million United States dollars Eurobond, the train speed was to have increased to 80 kilometers per hour instead of 36. Transparency Watchdog says apart from the train having extended stops with poor communication, passengers to how long they would be stationary, the train had no running water, its showers were broken, and the toilets were extremely dirty. Zambia's external public debt has risen dramatically in recent years, particularly since 2012. According to official figures, the debt reached 9.4 billion United States dollars by mid-2018. In addition, the government guaranteed loans to its state-owned companies totaling to 1.2 billion US dollars. More than 1 in 6 young people have stopped working since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, while those who remain employed have seen their working hours cut by 23%, says the International Labour Organization, ILO. According to the ILO Monitor COVID-19 and the World of Work report, 4th edition, youths are being unduly affected by the pandemic, and the substantial and rapid increase in youth unemployment since February is affecting young women more than young men. The pandemic is inflicting a triple shock on young people. Not only is it destroying their employment, but it is also disrupting education and training, placing major obstacles in the way of those seeking to enter the labor market or to move between jobs. At 13.6%, the youth unemployment rate in 2019 worldwide was already higher than for any other group. The monitor calls for urgent, large-scale and targeted policy responses to support youth, including broad-based employment and training guarantee programs in developed countries and employment-intensive programs in developed countries and I'll read it again, and employment-intensive programs and guarantees in low and middle-income economies. In Zambia, workers have had their salaries cut by half due to the impact of COVID-19 on businesses. The Patriots for Economic Progress, PEP, has expressed shock at Zambia's government decision to engage a French brothers company as a financial advisor following a ballooning external and internal debt. 6 financial powers competed for position of financial advisor to a government. These include New State Partners, Potomac Group, Deutsche Bank, Rothschild and Company, Absa Bank and Barclays Bank PLC, White Oak Advisory Limited and Lazar Free, which won the tender. The country secretary to the Treasury, Fredson Yamba, announced Wednesday afternoon that the financial advisor has been engaged to help the country manage its ballooning debt. But PEP President Sean Tembo says the $5 million United States dollars set aside for the foreign financial advisor who just go to West because foreigners do not understand the economic circumstances the nation goes through as compared to a local-based consultant. Mr. Sean Tembo has also accused authorities of sidelining local consultants in the advertised tender. A cabinet decision made in December 2019 to engage financial advisors in Zambia's quest to strengthen liability management of the debt portfolio was announced by the Minister of Finance on 12 February 2020. You are still watching Camnet Television News, but for now, we take a break. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
I've always been passionate about moving forward as fast as I could. Even as a child, all I ever wanted was to take first place at everything I put work towards. Whether I'm on the track or in the lecture room, my goal is to come out on top.
Growing up, we were always called Mafasho. You could say this paved the way for who we would become. We owe our success to our understanding of the power of storytelling, understanding what people connect to in order to give them what they desire.
We have always been passionate about people and honoring their stories. Our learning experience gave us the knowledge to channel our creativity into a business.
In order to start any successful journey, we must have a place to start. Even if that means we keep our mental image in focus as we become the inevitable solution to society's inevitable problems.
Which is why we all start our journey here.
We all know how important good nutrition is to grow up big and strong. Not only is cowbell milk enriched with 28 vitamins and minerals, it's also boosted by the 5 most important vitamins, which we call Vita-Rich.
It's got vitamin A for good eyesight development. It's got vitamin C to help fight infections. It's got vitamin D and calcium to help build strong bones and teeth. It's got vitamin E to help with body protection. And it's got vitamin K for general well-being and immunity.
For good health and vitality, only cowbell with Vita-Rich puts you on the fast track.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We interviewed Mr. Sean Tembo in this report.
As patriots for economic progress, we are very, very shocked by the intention of government to award a $5 million contract to a French-based consulting company called Lazard Ferres for provision of advisory services in the restructuring and management of our national debt. Firstly, we believe that a locally based consultant already knows the dynamics of the Zambian economy. They already would know the status of our national debt, and therefore they would not spend a lot of time studying the local economic variables for them to be able to do the work. On the other hand, a foreign-based consulting firm is likely to spend a lot of time and therefore be more expensive in trying to study the local economy. And therefore it is preferable to award this tender to a locally based consulting firm. Additionally, this tender was not adequately advertised in the local press, and therefore local consultants were not afforded a fair opportunity to be able to participate in this tender. Therefore, we would like to call upon government to consider cancelling this tender and either re-advertise it or basically convene an economic task force made up of notable financial experts and economic experts to undertake this particular work.
And the local Democratic Party leader, Harry Kalava, says government should have involved local financial consultants rather than the French Lazard brothers. Mr. Kalava says government has denied local financial consultants an opportunity to contribute locally sourced solutions towards debt challenges affecting their country. Mr. Kalaba says government should have empowered its own local economists in such difficult times where citizens must look to Zambia for a Zambian solution. Here's a report.
The news that government has contracted Lazard from France to help us restructure our debt is very, very saddening. When we've been talking about this government not being a government that is forward-looking, a government that wants to use its local people in order to deal with problems. This is a typical example of what we've been talking about. Government is going to spend close to 100 million kwacha, to pay a French firm that is going to help government look at the debt portfolio and help it restructure its debt. This is a joke. This is lack of seriousness. Where are our economists in this country? If I was president, I would not have gone to France to ask them to restructure our loans. If I was president, I would have looked at our economists coming from the University of Zambia. I would have looked at the economists coming from Ministry of Finance. Where is Professor Sasa? Where is Caleb Funda? These people are able to help us restructure our debt. We didn't have to pay that kind of money to do this. This is bad, this is a joke, and this should come to an end. We can't continue on this same thing. You did the same with Mukula Tree. You always take it to China. You did the same with every resource that you have in this country. You have to take it out of this country. You have done the same with the gold mining. You are giving outsiders. And Zambians have remained spectators. Even if they are the ones who are going to pay the loans, you don't want them to be part of the loan restructuring process. Shame. Shame upon this government.
And Calabar says the PF government has betrayed the people of Lusaka after it paraded their mayor, Mao Sampa, before cameras to apologize to abusive Chinese investors. He says the mayor's actions were justifiable because most Chinese investors mistreat locals they engage to work for them. Let's take a look.
Then you take your mayor, your own mayor of Lusaka, you parade him before the press to apologize to the Chinese people for doing the right thing. This man was talking on behalf of the workers who are being kept in those factories, those industries. They can't go to their homes for 60 days. Kafiwe Gorge, in Mwangu, on the Copper Belt, here in Lusaka. He speaks for them and you rise against him. This president, President Lungu, is a president for the Chinese, not for the Zambians. How come it's failing to talk for the Zambian people? Why does he take pleasure in always talking for the Chinese instead of the Zambian people? He has not even said a single word on the issue of the Zambians being quarantined. Not a single word from Ministry of Labor, not a single word from Foreign Affairs, not a single word from the head of state. And the Minister of Local Government was meant to castigate the mayor of Lusaka in an open forum like that.
Kanyama Ward 10 Councillor Brighton Wilumba has assured residents in his ward of aid during the coronavirus pandemic. Mr. Wilumba has said this in response to the residents who are facing financial problems because of the closing of some companies in the country. Recently, Camnet News carried a story where residents were complaining of hunger, lack of face masks and sanitizers. The councillor has, however, appealed to the residents to adhere to the measures given by health experts to avoid catching or spreading the virus. Maurice Zulu has more in the following report.
Kanyama Ward 10 Councillor Brighton Bilumba has assured residents in his ward that government will provide assistance for them due to the impact of the coronavirus to the country. Mr. Bilumba says all the wards in Lusaka will be given some aid to assist poor families that depend on employment for their income. He has also assured the residents that schools will open on June 1st, 2020 with this aid given to the learners.
Indeed, many businesses have been disturbed. Those who have been earning a living from employment, most of the companies have been closed and shut down. What is going to happen under COVID-19 is that there is some aid that is coming, which is going to be distributed among all the wards of Lusaka, and this will be done equitably. And this office of the WDC, including us, the councillors, the whole Lusaka, are going to be engaged in making sure that our poor families, the poor of the poorest, are aided in one way or the other by our able government. And the schools are open on 1st June. Masks are provided to the learners that are going to open. And currently, we're almost ready to open our schools for the examination process.
The aid will help families to recover from the impact, while all schools will have to adapt to the new normal of learning during these hard times. Maurice Zulu, Camnet News, Lusaka.
An opposition functionary in Zambia's remotely placed Chama district claims there is a shortage of malaria drugs in the area. The Forum for Democracy and Development spokesman in Chama district of Muchinga province, Yotam Mtayachalo, claims Coartem, the malaria drug, has run out in the district. He says the development has endangered the lives of people in an area which is malaria prone. He says the area has been out of the drug the past 2 weeks now. Camnet is currently pursuing the matter with health authorities to its conclusive end. A Zambian unionist, Mwapem Sonda, says the Lusaka mayor, Miles Sampa, should never have apologized for standing up for Zambians. The Lusaka mayor recently busted some Chinese investors who were mistreating local workers and engaged in behavior that bordered on racism. But the mayor was censured for the strong language he used against some Chinese nationals and for overstepping boundaries as he revoked the trading licenses for some Chinese-owned businesses. But the unionist says the mayor was right for standing up for Zambians, but should have followed laid-down procedure before he took action the affected Chinese nationals. Here's a report.
I wish to apologize unreservedly to the following. 1. The Chinese community in the city of Lusaka and beyond for the tone and language used towards one of their nationals, in particular on the use of the word Chinaman.
Meanwhile, Mr. Mwape says the Ministry of Labour can lessen the existing tension between the Chinese investors and aggrieved Zambian labourers by proactively resolving impasse that usually emanate from poor conditions of service. His comment comes at the backdrop of some Chinese investors who were recently murdered after a disagreement relating to labour matters. Let's take a look.
First of all, we want to commend what the mayor did and what he had been doing. We want to commend him because we saw some of the injustices that were going on, and I think the mayor did a good job in terms of coming out and standing up for Zambians. We need someone to stand up for us as Zambians against foreigners who are committing wrong things. Those are companies that were flouting the law, those that were not having the necessary documentation and paperwork. They had to be checked. Just wants to also acknowledge that he has been reprimanded by the minister. Maybe some of the methods that he used, maybe some of the words, like you heard him yesterday, himself, the mayor, when he apologized, he mentioned that maybe some of the words that he had used were not appropriate. So looking at that, I would say maybe in his way of trying to stand up for Zambians, he may have done some things that were wrong. And I think from that point of view, we will say that maybe it's good that it came from himself, the mayor. Maybe we don't know under the circumstances under which he had to apologize, but I think he mentioned where he had gone wrong. He didn't follow procedure because it's not up to the mayor to go and revoke the license. I think what the minister condemned was not the action of the mayor going to check what is happening in these Chinese companies, but how the mayor did it. For maybe Ministry of Labour, they should be more vigilant. It's a wake-up call to be more vigilant, to send out more officers to go and check on what's happening in these companies. You see, the reason why people call the mayor instead of calling upon the Ministry of Labour is because maybe they have lost trust that their plight is not being attended to. Deploy more officers to go and check what's happening. And then also just to call on the people, especially those who are working in these companies owned by the Chinese, to report most of these cases to Ministry of Labour. Let's ensure that we report to the Ministry of Labour. If the Ministry of Labour is unable to do anything, then we can be able to say, okay, we reported this case and nothing has happened.
Meanwhile, a Lusaka resident says he stands with earlier action taken by Lusaka Mayor Miles Sampa against the Chinese residents in Zambia. Edwin Tembo says many Chinese citizens are abusing Zambians, a matter that should never be tolerated. Let's take a look.
We are not happy. They are saying no, Zambian shouldn't enter on his shops, but we nisema Zambia ameniti funika utabanji kusekera mu country yatu veve swali suppose kutila mulira mu chao so Miles Sampa ezabe musho kamba kuti EI valani ma Chinese because that's a member of parliament should be work like that, not to work like someone who's not corrupt or whatever. No, we are not happy. So Miles Sampa is a very light person as a member of parliament. Not to take it because even working system to lumpa kwa airport and ama Chinese if chitika thing sana. So government they have to follow these people because we're not happy. We need someone who is serious, who is in parliament to work nicely to fight for his people. We have got so many member of parliament people so that they can work. So we are happy what he did, Mr. Miles Sampa. Go ahead, Mr. Miles Sampa. Thank you.
Zambia's reggae icon Michael Zulu says he and other artists feel neglected by government during the COVID-19 plague. Michael Zulu says whereas government has seemed to be concerned about the plight of other sectors, the entertainment industry has been neglected. He urges authorities to consider rescuing musicians whose livelihoods are on hold following the lockdown imposed upon gatherings of different kinds. The political parties and the PF in particular has largely ridden on the back of creative artists to woo voters during elections. And reacting to the matter, the ruling party's political arch-rival UPND says the time is now for the PF government to scratch the back of musicians who are partly responsible for their victories. Here's a report.
For quite some time, countries such as India, Nigeria, Ghana and the United States, to mention but a few, have been leading the world in movie production and other sections of the arts and entertainment industry. The question is, where does the arts and entertainment industry stand in Zambia? To begin with, the entertainment industry in Zambia is in its infancy as it is less lucrative. The success of this industry depends on teamwork and support from government. At the end of the day, when the industry makes profit, it is important to share cake accordingly, aside from the individual profits made. This is an aspect that the Zambian entertainment and arts industry lacks, as musicians have noted that government has neglected it. The Zambian reggae icon Michael Zulu, popularly known as St. Michael, laments of hunger among his fellow musicians due to the global pandemic, the COVID-19.
When we had the COVID, so most of us have not had an income for half a year now. So it's really challenging, and also for artists, nowadays they are asking us to go the new normal, which requires a lot of work online and using technology. And unfortunately, most of our artists cannot afford to use the kind of technology or like for live gigs online and things like that. So it's going to be quite challenging to adjust to the new normal. But also I think artists have been neglected in this country for a long time. We contribute to the tax base of this country because whenever an artist has a performance, there is an economic activity going around. But when you look at the way our Ministry of Finance government looks at artists, it's like we are at the bottom of the pile.
On the 25th of March 2020, the Republican President Edgar Lungu issued a directive against public gatherings. This directive put to an end all public gatherings that include live performances, which have for a long time seen these musicians make huge profits. The reggae icon, who is known for producing a song, Bwezani, has called on the Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit, DMMU, to perhaps attend to their plight.
Well, my appeal would be maybe to, the DMMU to consider funding the artists to some extent. I understand, the government of Kenya did that to artists. I don't see why we cannot give a bit of something. Artists have never asked for anything from government. But in this time, to be honest with you, it's just that most of these guys and girls are celebrities. They won't go out asking for 50 kwacha, but artists are hungry now as we are speaking.
Meanwhile, Zambia's largest opposition political party, UPND, says what is happening in the arts and entertainment industry shows that government has no heart for the people in the industry.
So our upcoming actors, musicians, I think it's not a fully fledged industry in Zambia. That's why I want to call them upcoming, because most of them are still in an infancy stage. They have not discovered their full potential. They're just discovering themselves. Now, when they thought they are now getting somewhere, they have been hit by this COVID, which restricts their association with others, live performances, concerts, and so on. They can't do that now because of this COVID. I believe and agree that they are now hungry. It's true, they're hungry. Dan the Craze, you heard a clip on where he was complaining when he lost the mother-in-law in Livingstone and was stuck. He couldn't go to attend the funeral because he didn't have anything. He started appealing to ministers in the PF because he did a song for them, he has been playing for them, and he complained bitterly. I've done a lot of work for these people, but now when I call them, they're not even picking up my calls.
United Party for National Development, UPND Secretary General Stephen Katuka says he is saddened by the negligence the Patriotic Front government has allegedly been portraying, especially at a time the country is witnessing an economic shutdown. Mr. Katuka has, however, assured the nation of a better life for these people once they form government.
If UPND was in government, what would we do? We wouldn't handle it casually like they are doing. We believe we have a responsibility to the people. All the 17 million Zambians, we will owe them a duty. We will owe them support. We must find solutions to problems affecting our people. That's why we are vying for a public office. Public office means we should be able to take care of the 17 million Zambians coming from different walks of life.
Reporting for Camnet Television in Lusaka, Namwenga Mwinga.
You are still watching Camnet Television main news. Camnet TV, not just another channel. Let's take a break.
Can I have that meal over there? And I really want that crispy, fresh apple taste from the garden. Can I have happy apple?
I think I'll have my big bite 2 meal with happy waziwaka. Give us your
Enjoy an appetizing big bite meal with an happy drink of your choice. A meal is not a meal without an happy drink. And now introducing Happy in a can.
Savenda General Insurance Limited is a young and vibrant insurance company that is focused on changing the outlook of the insurance landscape.
At Savenda General Insurance, we believe in a quick settlement of claims because we believe the customer is the reason why we exist.
Such living proof motivates us to know that you can count on us to actually be there for you in times of need.
We have been able to pay claims of about 14 million kwacha.
Savenda General Insurance Limited offers aviation, agriculture, marine, fire, motor vehicle, engineering and construction, and miscellaneous insurance.
Come and see what we're able to offer, what we can do. You will never be disappointed because we are here for you.
For further details, call us on 0211 250 278 or 0955 555744.
Welcome back. We continue with the news. In African news, doctors in Tanzania have denied being overwhelmed by the coronavirus pandemic after a recent warning by the U.S. Embassy about the risk of exponential growth in cases in the country. The embassy said hospitals in the main city, Dar es Salaam, were overwhelmed and that the chances of contracting the virus was extremely high, but did not give any evidence to back up its claims. But the head of Tanzania's Medical Association, Elisha Osati, has told the BBC that hospitals are operating as normal and that the majority of coronavirus inpatients are suffering from mild symptoms. A Moroccan film star has been charged with making blasphemous remarks against Islam. The actor Rafik Bokka was arrested on Tuesday evening after a video of him ridiculing Islam's stances on drinking alcohol was shared widely. In the video, he said alcohol helps you to connect with God. About 400 people have escaped from a coronavirus quarantine center in Malawi's second largest city, Blantyre, after complaining about its poor state. Local media has reported that the escapees were quarantined on arrival from South Africa and were yet to be tested for coronavirus. Malawi has 203 confirmed COVID-19 cases and 4 deaths. The world has recorded over 5,700,000 COVID-19 cases and over 350,000 deaths, with America recording the highest cases. In world news, Turkey's foreign ministry has accused Greece of breaching the fundamental rights of refugees and migrants and also increasing tension along the country's shared borders instead of engaging in dialogue. Athens recently criticized remarks by Turkish authorities suggesting that the border might be opened to refugees once the coronavirus pandemic has eased. Expecting an influx of refugees, Greece also said that it started mobilizing forces to boost defenses along its border with Turkey. China's parliament has approved a decision to move forward with national security legislation for Hong Kong that critics fear could undermine the city's autonomy. The National People's Congress on Thursday voted 2,878 to 1 in favor of the decision to empower its standing committee to draft the legislation with 6 abstentions. The legislation gathered in the Great Hall of the People burst into sustained applause when the vote tally was projected on the screens. We still have more news to come, but for now, we take a break.
The Cowbell Choco formula has been stolen. Get it back at all costs.
Tasting Cowbell Choco gives you the get up and go to be at the top of your game. Now with Vitality Plus Iron. Great tasting Cowbell Choco, a creamy chocolatey drink that helps give energy to get up and go.
Dr. Bigron, musaibala komutienda ukuni gift na land. Uchenkubeti uibise mojo basayone. Oh! Mwina moshi, nakuletera njinga. Latest inaluvesi gear na mawaipa.
Difficult, dia shidia njinga. Liam 19 pendefcon. Transport, we got it.
Nanga phone for communication. Ipu sana chizungu. Yeah, you see what I mean?
It's a camera, difficult.
It's communication. We got it.
Inemomi powerful system ndimba X-Buzz.
Mufumile kukalale na mnaimo muli bakumushi. We got it. Yo Bikron, utole no leta nchemfule mungani. Ngejo wachira pose nshitachinshi. 1, 2, 3, both of you. Kabala ngempang. Don't be stupid. We got it.
Welcome back. We continue with the news. In sports news, the 2021 African Cup of Nations, set to be held in Cameroon, could be postponed to 2022 due to the coronavirus pandemic, according to reports. The upcoming tournament was set to take place between January 9th to February 6th, but with 4 rounds of fixtures postponed, in addition to playoffs, and with 8 months to the event. Doubts have surrounded the staging of the tourney. Reports from Egyptian website egypttoday.com, a source within the African governing body, reported that there is a possibility of holding the next year's tournament in the summer of 2022. The source added that there was another option of postponing the AFCON tournament for a likelihood of 18 months to prevent a clash with the 2022 World Cup. The previous tournament held in Egypt was the first AFCON to be played in the summer. And the BBC reports that the Premier League season set to restart on 17th June with Aston Villa, Sheffield United and Manchester City versus Arsenal. Matches are the 2 games in hand, and a full fixture list would then be played on the weekend of 19 to 21 June. Clubs were by today still discussing the idea at a meeting, but it is now understood that all have agreed in principle at this stage. The Premier League was suspended on 13th of March because of the pandemic, and it will be 100 days after Leicester City's 4-0 win over Aston Villa on 9th March that competition will resume, with games now behind closed doors. On Wednesday, clubs anonymously voted to resume contact training, having started non-contact training last week. Premier League players and staff will continue to be tested twice a week, with a capacity increased from 50 to 60 tests per club for the 4th round of testing. Any players or staff to test positive must self-isolate for a period of 7 days. Well, we have come to the end of our news this evening, but before we go, we take a look at some of the top stories that made headlines once again. Zambia's annual inflation rate for May increases to 16.6% CSO. Zambia Railway, $120 million United States dollars, keeps trains at snail pace, local transparency watchdog. Pep shocked on Lazard Frere's appointment. Sampa was right. Mwape. 100 escape from virus quarantine in Malawi. Premier League to restart on 17th of June. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Jesse Kalambo. We end the news today with our verse of the day, which is Proverbs 31 verse 8. Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute. Camnet Television, not just another channel. Have a blessed evening.